Welcome to Real Estate in the Digital Age, or the REDA podcast. Real estate entrepreneurs Ryan Poole and Ryan Beckett bring you new content every week, reporting on market trends, industry innovations, cutting-edge real estate technology, and perspectives from the field. The future of real estate is here. Are you ready?
Welcome everyone to the REDA podcast, Real Estate in the Digital Age. As always, I'm here with my good friend Ryan Poole and also Claire Golden of Vacasa. So Ryan Poole actually found this company, and I'm going to let him take it from here. It's super interesting. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited here to have Claire on today, just because, I've been in real estate for over 20 years, worked with a lot of investors throughout my career, and big thing, really hot thing right now with real estate is investors that are renting in short-term rental properties, right? I mean, I have a number of investors that actually came from some podcasts that we've done earlier, Ryan, and they want a good solution. They want a trusted, property management. Ran into Claire here with Vacasa and some exciting things, so we're excited to have her on. And I think it's a lot of value in just, a lot of listeners, Claire, here are in real estate. We have a lot of real estate professionals, a lot of people in tech as well, and Vacasa's cutting-edge property management company is leveraging a lot of tech, so we're excited to have you on, Claire.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Awesome. So let's start out. Let's give a little, who is Claire? Why don't you give a little bit of personal background for the listeners out there of who you are, your experience, and what you do?
Sure. Well, I started working in technology actually over in Europe. And then when I moved back to the United States, I started in real estate in New York City. So I come from a family of real estate professionals. They own shopping centers in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. And so it was just a natural progression for me to get into real estate.
Wow. And I know you've done some entrepreneur work too as well. So why don't you share with listeners a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I've worked with some tech startups over in Europe from the ground up, and sort of moving that project to multiple countries. And then when I was in New York City, I started my own art advisory firm. I love new business, startup, these kind of innovative ideas. And I'm really excited about what you guys are doing with RealTrade.
Awesome. No, we're excited. We got two forward thinkers in tech with Ryan and myself here in real estate, so we're definitely glad to have you on. So you got started in real estate here in the U.S. What age did you start getting into real estate?
Well, goodness, I mean, my mother is a realtor, and so I guess you could say from like the age of 10 being taken around in the car for showings, but I got my license in New York City probably around age 27, 28. And when I moved here to Florida, I got the broker's license as well.
Okay, wow. So licensed agent and broker.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, I'm getting ready to fly up to New York City for the marathon. I'm obsessed with New York City, and I just know enough to be dangerous about the real estate market. They call it the real estate capital of the world. What was it like doing real estate in New York City?
Super exciting in Manhattan. I mean, it's very fast-paced, so one thing that I learned was, if somebody calls you, you answer the phone and you get onto it right away. So Florida is fast-paced because we have so many people moving down here from the Northeast.
New York City.
Yes, and they expect, in fact, that type of level of service is, if you say you're going to be at an appointment at a given time, like you're there 5 minutes early.
Right. 100%. Okay.
No, it is. I love dealing with New Yorkers in my real estate career because like you said, we've had a lot down here in Florida, and they look at the facts and they can make decisions quick, which I do like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what is Vacasa? Let's kind of get into it. Tell us a little bit about what Vacasa is, how you got involved with the company. It's really an amazing platform. I've been digging into it, obviously speaking with you, Claire, and why don't you give the listeners a background of what it is and what it does?
Sure. Vacasa is a vacation rental management company. So we manage over 30,000 properties nationwide. It's a publicly traded company. And it leverages tech so that we're able to look at what all of the properties out there in any given market are doing at a time and set the rates So there's a minimum, and it's just like when you book an airline ticket, it can go up based on supply and demand. And we're able to look at all of these different homes and track what their performance is. So we do a full service vacation rental management. So that means that basically you can give us the key and walk away.
Wow.
And we're going to
wow.
deposit the money into your bank account on the 10th of every month. You can watch everything in your owner portal. So if you have an entire portfolio of homes, you can track those right there. And at the end of the year, all your tax documentation will be there. We can even run all the expenses for you, not just your lights and your water, that's on you, but in terms of any kind of repairs or maintenance, anything like this, we can track that as well so that you see your net at the end of the year. And it makes it a little bit easier even still on you to file the taxes. We do take care of everything in-house, including the housekeeping, and we leverage another technology platform that was bespoke built in-house for that. Where we do all the invoicing, everyone goes through background check, we take care of all of the maintenance. Anything specialized that requires like HVAC certification or something, we will find outside vendors for that, but that is something that we can offer to owners. We also will collect the TDT tax for the vacation rentals, and we'll pay that on behalf of the owner, and we'll track their renewals of their licenses.
Yeah, that's one big pain point we've had for a lot of users. So yeah, that's one big pain point for a lot of short-term rentals, handling the taxes, all the back room part of the business, and Vacasa can do all that for the property owners.
Exactly. And that's one thing that we find is sometimes, and it's great, hats off to the mom and pop companies that are out there managing rentals, because, there's little things that they may put a gift basket inside or something very specific to that home that owners like. But sometimes they're not aware of the regulations, and that can become very hefty in fines. We've seen people that actually had to sell their homes because they didn't realize that they had so many fines, like $1,000 a day for having someone in there that they shouldn't be. So, one thing that we do as a company at Vacasa is we're very aware of what those laws and regulations are in a given place. For example, in Boca Raton and Delray, they don't really allow short-term rentals. You can rent like 3 times a year, for example, unless it's
Really?
a multifamily. In Delray, I believe it's 6 times a year for multifamily. But, we see more seasonal rentals in those places.
Okay.
But West Palm, you can rent, every other day if you wanted to.
Just out of curiosity, what would Boca Raton define as a short-term rental? Is it anything less than 6 months? Is it 30 days? Do they have a certain marker that they do for, like, where they denote a short-term rental?
I believe it's 3 months.
3 months, okay.
But it may be that it's either 2 or 3 times a year. I would have to double check that. So
Got it.
It's typically more seasonal rentals.
Got it. And I was thinking about, as it relates to tech, how did people do short-term rentals before technology allowed people to do so? I mean, maybe take an ad out in the paper. I mean,
it was pretty much the hotels and motels had the whole market cornered. Think about it.
right. Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
They did.
And I'm not aware of like any competitors that do that kind of full service with property management. That's got to be a pretty unique value proposition in the market, isn't it?
It is pretty unique because we take care of everything. And there's a few out there that are trying to do it. I think we have that owner portal, which is the other technology piece we have. We're able to track all of the things that may happen in any given property over the years through a ticket system. So if you ask me what happened 2 years ago in a property on a given street, I could tell you, yes, the toilet overflowed and it's overflowed 3 times, and we need to change that to the
Wow.
owner.
So it's almost like a Carfax report, if you will, kind
Yes.
of. Yeah. Interesting.
And on top of that, they have a marketplace.
Yeah.
Where the consumer side can actually go onto the platform and actually look for short-term rentals as well, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. So you could look anywhere within the nation that we're operating and see the different houses.
So let me ask you a question. So if someone, let's say a property owner goes on to Vacasa, lets you guys kind of take over everything, and and you guys can just take over from that point. They put it on the Vacasa website. It gets published to the other short-term rental sites as well.
That's correct.
Wow, with dynamic pricing.
Yeah, so we're on Booking.com, Airbnb, VRBO, a host of others as well. And then, yes, and we will cover those fees. So they pay the management fee to us, and that comes out of the rental revenue. And there's no additional charges on that. So we're not looking to nickel and dime them.
Wow. So you cover the cost then for the Airbnb fee.
That's right. If they want to enroll in any special promotions, then that's, of course, on them, and that's something that we can talk to them about. And they have the choice in the beginning if they want to enroll or not.
Wow. So we try to curate the for the audience. You know, we have listeners that are investors, they're buyers, they're sellers, they're realtors, they're brokers, and it sounds like there's a place for everyone. You know, as it relates to this platform. I don't want to jump ahead of you, Poole, but it's interesting because I also noticed the realtor program you guys have. I don't know if you were going to bring that up, but is there something you could maybe give us? I signed up for it last night. Is there something you can explain on how that would work?
Sure, absolutely. So you can earn anywhere between $1,000 and $2,500 per referral of a property that becomes one of our vacation rental managed properties. And as soon as it goes live, then we will pay you that money.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Very
So
cool.
if you had like a multifamily deal and you had, I don't know, anywhere 4 to 20 units, that's something that we could manage and we would pay you on each one.
Wow. Yeah. So in my experience, personally, and with my colleagues, we barely like to do rentals, let alone short
Property
term
management.
or definitely not property
Property
management.
management,
Yeah.
yeah.
But especially short term. So that's a great service that you guys are bringing to the market.
And we will do the longer term rentals if it makes sense. So let's say, hey, I get a couple different properties for my investor and I want to just turn them over to somebody else. So we can manage the short term, the seasonal, and the long term. And that client, of course, is your client. So even though we may have a team member that's got a real estate license, we respect that because we're looking at the long-term relationship.
And here, this is this is what I started to think about with your guys' model. Even though I would be more of a renter when I was thinking about it through that lens, I think that because I think when you think about management company, you think on the ownership side and the lessor side, where I would be more interested, obviously, on the renter side. Here's why. Because if I go to Airbnb, those people have the option to clean it themselves, right? And so you guys are bringing a level of quality control because that's all part of what you're doing. So I have a higher level of comfort that when I show up to my vacation rental, that it's managed in-house, and there's not going to be varying levels of quality, So that to me was a big plus. It's very interesting.
Yeah, no, I noticed that too. I mean, versus someone cleaning the house themselves, you go there and
Yeah.
stay at the unit versus a certain quality that Vacasa has. Can you touch on that, Claire?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. We have a whole host of different housekeepers. Everyone goes through the background check, as I mentioned, and then there's an inspection that happens after the clean. We have a linen program as well, which we offer to the owners, which typically we ask them, please, even though it's optional, go ahead and take that. So that ensures that every time that the housekeeper goes into a house, they have a whole fresh bag of linen. So that's the sheets, the pillowcases, the towels, the bath mats, everything. So the owner doesn't have to worry about, even somebody said, oh, I love that bath mat with the stripes or flowers. I'm just going to take that home. Every time you come, and it allows us to do a quick same-day turnaround.
Fantastic.
Wow, that's amazing. So what other ways is Vacasa leveraging tech? Obviously, you have the marketplace, you have the portal, that the users can use. What other ways is Vacasa leveraging tech?
Sure. I mean, we definitely have analysts who are out there looking at the rates across different markets, and they're able to cross-market from places that even didn't typically have large vacation rentals. There, we have a small town called Dauphin Island in Alabama, for example. And before Vacasa came in, which was about maybe 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, was a small little beach town. Well, after Vacasa got there, I mean, it's busy. I wouldn't say year-round, but probably at least 6 months out of the year. And we operate over 150 homes on this little, I would say, 3-mile island.
Wow.
So it's a great opportunity to get visibility for owners and as well as for realtors that sell property to investors that refer us over, that those properties are making money and then that will be a repeat customer. We also have, in the back end of things, the whole housekeeping system is automated. So it shows automatically that there's a checkout. The guest has an app. They can click when they've left, and it'll notify the housekeeper to go ahead and come in and clean.
And the smart lock. I know that's something that you have. That's
Absolutely. Yeah. So we install the smart lock on every home, and that ensures that when it's time to check out, that the code no longer works. Every housekeeper as well will have a unique code that only works for the time they're supposed to be there. So it's a security system as well. It will record onto that home every time in our back-end ticketing system, every time someone entered through that door.
Fantastic. Yeah, really cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And we discussed this because on some of our previous, podcasts, we've talked a lot about, how tech is basically changing real estate. And I'm very bullish, so is Ryan, on the tokenization of real estate, where basically people can buy, pretty much shares in real estate, right?
Mhm.
Where they can still build equity. And I really see a future here where you can buy shares in an entity where you have tokenized ownership, but then you don't have to stay in that same place.
Yeah.
Where you can basically trade, those tokens times out and stay at other locations. And property management is going to be huge on that because obviously you can't have one person managing the property. You have to have a certain standard that these properties have to be kept up to.
Yep, fantastic. And the audience will hear me say this if I haven't said this already, but technology is only good if it makes things more efficient, right?
Yes.
And the markets are the best when they're efficient. They're predictable. It's a win for all when they're more efficient. So companies like Vacasa comes in and makes things more efficient. I have been guilty of this. Sometimes people that love tech, like me, it's like someone with a hammer and everything looks like a nail, and you try to have tech, and sometimes tech can make things more cumbersome.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a market, like I was saying, a big gap in like the realtor broker space, and the service that companies like Vacasa are providing, it just makes that, that whole ecosystem of real estate just fit together like Tetris in a way, like just so much better. It's really interesting.
It is. I mean, I think, like I said, the future here where people, because you think a lot of these millennials and younger generations, I mean, they don't want it. They love the concept of ownership, of building equity. They know that is the future, but being tied down to one place is something for them has been a negative connotation, right? So there's maybe, they want to travel, they want to see the world. So really leveraging that, I mean, I could see Vacasa going so many different ways here, with their business model.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it definitely allows someone to own property in multiple markets. We do have a real estate investment trust, so if anyone is interested in finding out more information about that, that's something that we can certainly provide. That team does look at properties in various markets. But again, as far as technology is concerned and the integration, we send out surveys every time after someone has come to stay. We welcome millions of guests a year. So that really enables us to provide each time a better guest experience based upon the feedback that we get that we're also able to offer for owners. So it is a great opportunity.
Wow, I like about this trust. So Vacasa set up an investment, basically, trust to buy short-term rental properties.
We work with other investors that
Okay.
have real estate investment trusts, and we work directly with them to find
Cool.
properties that will fit their needs.
Wow, and could agents then bring deals to that trust then?
Absolutely.
There you go. That's in your wheelhouse.
I mean, I love it. Yeah, no, it's great. No,
Yeah.
it's good. I mean, like I said, I definitely see there's a lot of investors. I mean, the returns, if you look, that's another thing too. I saw on your website, and I want to use it as actually agents can go on there and put in the details of the property and start to look at cap rates, what their IRR is. There's actually some great tools that they've built for agents that are working with investors to help with the properties.
Yes, that's correct. If you go online and you register with Vacasa, then you'll be able to use those tools. And sometimes there's referrals available as well in certain markets.
Fantastic.
Wow, we got to get more plugged in with Vacasa, right?
100%.
That's great. So another thing here is, just came out in the news yesterday, very relevant here. The Fed has now decided to raise the interest rates again. They went up 0.75 of a point, 75 basis points. As the market now shifts, okay, what do you see is how Vacasa is going to help, realtors, buyers, sellers? What do you see here coming in the future with Vacasa?
Sure. It is a little tricky. I agree. It is something that we're seeing as a trend when we look at someone that wants to buy an investment and they want to borrow. I would say, really, we do have some off-market deals and we have connections to be able to get these. We have some owners that are just, ready to go in retirement somewhere else in a different country, for example, and they may have a property available. But the other thing is we're really able to capitalize on the rental revenue, be it short-term, or if they decide, hey, I want to pivot to something long-term, then we have the option to kind of do both of those at the same time and see what looks like it's going to be of most benefit.
Yeah, be great if Vacasa had a lending arm too.
There you go.
Who knows? Maybe in the future.
I mean, that could
There
be it with different, very competitive rates.
Yeah. Well, if the market does shift a lot towards a buyer's market and a seller wants to get into another home for whatever reason, then companies like Vacasa provide an opportunity to cash flow that home if it's not easily, liquidated, sold. So I think that's also a really interesting service. We haven't touched on this in the podcast, and we're not a financial podcast, but I actually, and it's an unpopular opinion, and a lot of people would be surprised to hear me say this, but I actually think that higher interest rates are a good thing in the short term, because with inflation, no one wins. I went through the recession. I worked my butt off through that, and no one wants to go through a bubble. And we were running on a red line. And what's great about us being in South Florida, where we record this podcast, is the fundamentals still feel very strong, right? There's a lot of demand. It's hard to keep up with supply and construction and stuff like that. So I think we're pretty good now, and I like the fundamentals, and I think it was kind of some necessary medicine that we have to take to kind of even out the markets. And the other great thing about real estate is it's an asset, and assets hedge you in inflation. So, if you have your money under the mattress or in a bank account and you got 8.6% inflation, you're losing purchasing power. And maybe it doesn't correlate perfectly depending on which market you're in. But even if the market stagnates or softens, inflation in theory is built into your asset price, right? So, all more reasons to own real estate.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a tangible asset, and
Yeah.
we are seeing people pull money out of the stock market and invest in real estate. I mean, and you have to consider that's something people always need. They always need a place to live.
That's right.
Yep. And, we are the REDA podcast here, Real Estate in the Digital Age. To technology, Ryan, in essence, is a deflationary force. That's why it's making things more efficient and cheaper.
That's right.
Over time. So you have two great things, real estate and tech, coming together here to help people preserve wealth.
Yeah, efficient market theory. If anyone's not familiar, look it up. And that's what was my point earlier. More efficient the market, everyone wins.
Wow, that's great. So where do you see here, Vacasa, we touched a little bit too, also going here in the future, Claire, where do you see, I could see so many different ways here that Vacasa could go. I mean, real estate's a big one, obviously short-term rental market. I mean, they could get into brokerage. There's a whole different things that they could get into. What do you see, Claire, as a future here with Vacasa as they move forward?
Sure. Well, we do have the brokerage side of the business, and there's several states which are operating a brokerage. And currently, there are more ties going in between the property management side and the brokerage. So we've had, I would say, over the last 3 months, just more and more inquiries for property management before someone's even purchased a home. So that allows us to have referrals, which were originally going to the sales executives for property management that are now going through the brokerage firm. So anyone in terms of real estate, if you're a realtor and you sign up with Vacasa, then these are leads that we're able to give. So, that's one thing that we're seeing picking up as far as a trend is really utilizing those leads that we get in a positive way to build positive relationships, either within the company or with other companies.
Fantastic.
Wow. We need to get Vacasa on RealTrade.
I need to go on vacation and use Vacasa.
I know that too. That as well. But no, it's a great value add here that you're doing to agents. It really is, Claire. That they can, especially here in Florida. I mean, I think it's going to become more here in the future. As Florida becomes more and more popular, short-term rentals, are going to become more and more in the future.
Yeah, and as a realtor, you'd want to refer them to Vacasa, because if not, you're too big for your britches as a realtor, and some other hungry starting out agent, they're going to take your customer.
Exactly.
So now you have a more efficient way with a company that serves them well. From all the things that we were discussing with property management, your client is well served, and when they go to sell it, you still have the customer. It wasn't stolen from you in theory, so it's a great service.
Absolutely. Like I said, we're really big on dedication to those realtors that refer any business to us that we want to do a good job. They would have a dedicated property manager for that property. And even that property manager, their performance is going to be tracked because we are a publicly traded company. So it's important to us to build relationships. We're super excited to be here in South Florida. The West Palm Beach market is relatively new for us in the last, I'd say, year and a half. And it's building strongly. So thank you guys for having us here today.
Yeah,
of course.
That's awesome. So let's go over it, because people are probably, the listeners and viewers are wondering, what are the rates that Vacasa charges? Like, what are the ranges that they charge for? I know it's a range.
Sure, and I'm cautious to say because sometimes those rates will change. I would say right now it's really dependent on the expected rental revenue. So at least now through this month, the rates are anywhere between 18 and 21%. Now that's something that's new. that just changed over the summer, really, for the state of Florida. Before, previously, we were looking at somewhere around 26%. So
Wow.
if you've got a property that you're considering for vacation rental management, now's the time.
Yeah, 20%. I mean, that's even a little bit below. That's definitely competitive with any other property management companies that I know of.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we used to charge in the Polo Club where I worked as a brokerage, and we didn't property manage.
Yeah, they do everything, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
They could even, like I said, put it on all the other sites for you, right?
That's right.
Dynamic pricing. I've looked a lot at, like, people trying to do it on their own. They have like AirDNA, and you're trying to keep up with all the different data out there. Like, you guys have all that right there in house.
That's right. Yes. So from start to finish, we take care of it all. We go in, we do the professional photos, the listing write-up, we syndicate it out to the third-party
Virtual
channels.
tour.
Virtual tour.
They do a Matterport, right?
Oh, okay.
That's right.
It's Matterport?
Matterport.
Very cool. Very
I love the Matterport.
Yeah, me too.
It's fun too.
Me too.
It's fun to use those. That's great. So, wow, this has been some great information. I hope the listeners and the viewers are getting some great, some great info here. So, all right, we're kind of getting here, wrapping this up. Let's talk a little bit about personally. This is something that we always have some amazing guests here, and you have been involved with startups in the past with your own company. Been in real estate a long time, a lot of real estate listeners. What are some lessons that you've learned throughout your journey, with these business that you'd like to share with the listeners?
Well, I guess I would say it's really giving value to the people that you work with. So if you have an assistant that works with you or you have a team, it's always valuing that person. I think sometimes when there's success, and I saw this especially in New York City, it can be an ego-driven mentality. So I think it's important to stay humble. When we stay humble, we're receptive to learning, and we really show the ones around us that we value them, and that's important.
Yeah, fantastic. I like it. I mean, after all, as much as we love tech, as much tech improves our lives, it's still a people business.
That's right.
Right? Real estate is still a people business. We wouldn't have real estate if people didn't need it.
Yep.
So it's a great point.
No,
And I think that gives further kudos to what you guys are doing because, I mean, we saw in New York City some years back that was Street Easy and these different Zillow that people would go and they would contact directly and they would start to take out some of the realtors. And so I feel like by introducing realtors together to have more of a social aspect where we can share with one another is super important.
Yeah.
Love it. No, it is. It's real estate. It's a relationship business. It's a people business, and people want to do business with they know, like, and trust. Right? I mean, I don't see that changing too much in the future for real estate. Do you, Ryan?
It's basic tenets of human psychology. I think it's going to be hard for any tech, anything to take that out. But yeah, I agree.
So we want to believe in tech that empowers the human connection.
That's right.
Sure. So. All right, so most people ask about your past, what you've done. We want to know too, Claire. Where do you see the future? Where do you see your business and life going in the future?
Well, that's an interesting question, Ryan. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've done a lot of different things, right, with the technology as well as real estate in 3 different states. I'm a very creative person, so probably it will be more in development to see a concept from initial thought process and idea all the way through to, let's say, a multifamily, but with unique concepts.
Yes.
Interesting.
That is. No, I love that. I mean, I would love to build something too. Just, obviously in tech, I love tech, but I love real estate as well. Is build some kind of concept, like a boutique style, place where people can stay, which is just like an immersive experience. I think that could do very, very well.
Yeah. I have an idea I'll tell you guys offline that maybe I'll bring up on another podcast.
Yeah.
I think you guys will like.
I'm actually looking at this 25 unit, basically an old hotel that could be reconfigured and refurbished into some real cool concept. I'm actually hopefully here working with Vacasa with one of my clients. That could be amazing. I kind of want to do a concept where it's because it's on Singer Island where it's like dive focused, right? Ocean,
Very cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that we see gives the most success is those unique concepts that people have. Not only does it pull someone in from the photos, but then that experience that they get as well, they remember it.
Yeah, and what I learned from Warren, one of the things I learned from Warren Buffett is there's riches and niches, right? And I cut my teeth in real estate selling horse farms, of all things. And as I mentioned, I got hit pretty hard during the recession, like we all did. But it didn't. Our market wasn't immune, but it was certainly insulated. And at that time, if you were going to buy a horse farm, I was probably one of 5 people that you would call, and that was my specialty. And an outside realtor had a tough time coming in and knowing all the nuances that came along with a horse farm. So I love the niche as a differentiating strategy. It's awesome.
It is, and the branding thing too, especially on these short-term rentals, that's an asset, right, that you can sell later on, Ryan, right? Like you can sell the branded business to not just the real estate, correct, Claire?
Absolutely. It's important. I mean, people think, oh, okay, I'm just going to build another hotel. Well, I mean, only so many rooms are needed. But if you are selling an actual experience, it makes it that much more interesting.
So I have a question I didn't even think to ask. On Vacasa, say someone wants to sell their home and it's been in your guys' program. Could they use that as advertising, that they work with you, and when they go to sell it, that your relationship with that property just has continuity afterwards? Because I think that could potentially be a huge selling point.
Yes, we see that a lot, in
Okay.
fact. And in some cases, with owner's permission, we're able to share the financials as well
Wow.
to see that property's really been performing.
Yep. Interesting. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it could help too. I mean, selling the property new owner, for all the underwriting for financing. Obviously, you guys are keeping track of all that. You obviously have projections and stuff into the future too.
Absolutely. And we're generally, if it's an area that requires a rental license and has heavy regulations, we can assist with that from the start also.
Yeah, that's a big thing. People start getting into the regulations, and that's where they kind of get very hesitant. And it's pretty amazing that you can bring in Vacasa to help manage that.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
It is. Wow, this has been great. This has been an awesome episode, Claire, to have you on and sharing all this information. And this is a great value add. That's why we're here, right? We're
Yep.
going to bring value. So, so where can people find Claire? Where can they find you?
Well, my contact is claire.golden@vacasa.com.
Okay, awesome.
So online, as in the tech world,
That's awesome.
And the website's just vacasa.com?
it's vacasa.com, and you can go there and you can sign up to be a preferred realtor, for example. It's just a little a form that you would fill in, and we can send you information.
Awesome.
And that form, too, they can say that Claire referred you on the form when you fill it out.
Yep. I
That's-
just sent a friend and client to your guys' platform. He is doing a vacation rental.
Oh, terrific. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Well, Claire, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. There's all kinds of things I want to talk to you about after the podcast as well. Maybe we'll have you back. Thank you, Ryan Poole. Thank you, audience. As always, remember to smash that like button. Subscribe to the REDA podcast. You can find us on all mediums. The REDA podcast, Instagram. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the whole lot. So we can't wait to see you again. Thank you again, Claire.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.